first of all, stating the obvious, yes, who picks to actually be homeless? Who thinks, I actually love this room with the roof over my head and being safe and not being cold and dying and having a lack of money and food? If you wanted to break it down to ultimate...
I mean, you could say that about anything. You'd be like, who actually chooses to not be a millionaire? Who actually chooses that? It's like, yeah, I suppose nobody chooses not to be a millionaire, but you can see the choices that they made, which made sure that they weren't millionaires, can't you? It's the same exact thing with homelessness. No, nobody wants to be homeless. It's like, yeah, but they do want to be drug addicts above having a house. That, to me, is choosing to be homeless.
Ultimately, what leads people to being homeless, there are choices involved, right?
Yeah, that's right, stupid. There's choices involved. That's correct. You're right. There's choices involved to being homeless. You're so right.
Just factually, in like an actual literal sense. For example, if someone who ended up homeless chose to do a job and then the job ended up going bankrupt or shutting down, then
that person probably wouldn't be homeless by choice, because nothing's a monolith. But the thing is that, remember what I said, most homeless people, right, are there by either mental illness or by choice. Most. So what does she do? She does what every fucking stupid person does. But I can think of an example where it's not either of those two cases. Great. Do you know what the word most means, dummy? Hey, Andrew, thanks for everything you do. Would you consider a chill stream where you debate Grok, ChatGPT, or whatever AI? Yeah, that might be fun.
They were removed from the job and then made homeless because they had no money to pay rent, for example.
Yeah, these are usually the exceptions to the rule.
There were choices made up to that point. But
yes, that's the case. There were. Yes, you're right.
They did not pick to be homeless.
Yeah, I did not pick to be not a millionaire. You know, I didn't pick that. I didn't pick to not be 6'5". I didn't pick to, you know what I mean? That's the same line of logic. It's just fucking stupid logic.
And furthermore, if they were homeless because of mental illness, that is not a reason to then throw them in a mental institution.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that we shouldn't put mentally ill people in mental institutions. Man, this is super helpful. What a very helpful lady. Just because they're mentally ill doesn't mean you should put them in mental institutions. Oh, got it. I wasn't aware of that. Here, I thought that in a mental institution, they, I don't know, could actually get some help. Maybe they could actually get some help instead of, you know, being homeless on the fucking street and being an addict and everything else, right? But, you know, she's right. No excuse for taking mentally ill people and putting them in a mental institution.
I feel like there are steps before that, you know? Like, what are we talking about in terms of mental illness? You mean depression and anxiety?
No, like talking to yourself, like having schizophrenia, like having severe mental illnesses, not just, oh, I'm depressed. These fucking women think everything is mental illness because if they feel a little blue in the morning, I feel a little blue, that's a mental illness. No, we're talking about real mental illness here, severe mental illness. 2 weeks FMLA leave for my new little boy got me broke too, but I can afford to contribute a little something to the grift. Not one step back. Not one step back.
Or PTSD, for example, people who have been to war and then come back and have no home.
Yeah, so this is interesting, right? Especially when it comes to homeless veterans. It is the case that there is, if you look at the stats, there are higher representation of veterans who are homeless than a lot of other kind of demographics and this and that. Why? Due to mental illness. You're making my fucking point for me. She's making my point for me.
Do you think it's fair to throw them in a mental institution? The thing is...
What does that mean, throw them in a mental institution? Those are called mental treatment facilities. What does that mean? Do you think you're throwing them in fucking prison? Like, what do you think you're doing with them? You're getting them off the street and into treatment centers for their mental illness, you fucking dolt.
With these people, it's just a lack of empathy. Sometimes maybe they are taking some half-truths, but it's...
A lack of empathy. I think it's a lack of empathy to allow our streets to be flooded with fucking addicts and mentally ill people because you won't put them in treatment centers because you're stupid. That's a lack of empathy. You know what's a lack of empathy? All those people who fucking bought all those nice houses in the fucking Palisades surrounded by homeless people. You know what a lack of empathy is? Walking through downtown Santa Barbara and seeing all the homeless people smack down in the center of the square, talking to themselves, literally talking to themselves. Same thing if I go through San Francisco, any of these places. That's a lack of fucking empathy. Here's a lack of empathy is allowing these people to completely pollute neighborhood. This lady's never lived in a fucking neighborhood where these people are at. She doesn't fucking have any idea what she's talking about. No clue. It's absolutely infuriates me, the audacity of these people. They are malicious and evil. All of them are a bunch of lying, dishonest snakes. That Oliver fella dug his grave. Not one step back. Not one step back.
It's just a lack of empathy. I don't look at homeless people and go, yeah, I think I should put you in a mental asylum, actually. I think...
Okay, so this is exactly, goes back to the voting thing, right? This is what's so funny. I know exactly how I want my society to be run. No, you fucking don't. You don't have a fucking clue what you're talking about. I was asked a specific question. The question was, how would you combat a homelessness issue, for instance? Okay, well, the first thing I would do is bring back mental asylums, because then we could get homeless people mental treatment, because that's what they fucking need more than anything else. How do you say that's a lack of empathy? Leaving them on the fucking street so that they can be junkies. That's the empathetic thing. These fucking women are just, well, not these women, this woman at least, fucking dumb. Thanks for helping me reaffirm my faith in Christ using logic and reason. Welcome.
I think they deserve a home. I think they deserve people who care about them. And I think they deserve the government to do something to look after them.
Oh, you want the government to do something to look after them, mentally ill people. Can we think of a thing that the government used to do to look after mentally ill people? What would that thing be? What would that be? What comes to mind when you think of a thing that the government could do to look after mentally ill people? What would that? Like, what if we had, for instance, you know what? I got an idea. What if what we did was we made a really big building somewhere, like a big building somewhere that had rooms in it. And what we do inside these rooms, make it so that these people couldn't hurt themselves, right? And then what we do is hire specialists and doctors to come in and assist with their treatment so that they could get better over time. What if we did something like that? I would be for a program. I wonder if she'd be for a program like that. Yeah, I wonder if she'd be for a program of the government making a really big building and then filling it with staff who are trained professionals in mental health and then putting people there till they get better. I wonder if she'd be for that. I'm all for that, by the way. I think she's right about that.
I don't think, get yourself in a mental hospital. You definitely chose to be here, you dirty scumbag. But yeah, no, fair enough, Andrew Wilson. That's a really, really lovely, sympathetic vision to have of these people.
It's almost like she's just looking for something to attack me on. If you asked her how she would combat the homeless, she would say by giving them more resources, as though that hasn't been done a million times. And then you know what they do with the resources? They buy fucking drugs, because being homeless sucks, especially when you're mentally ill. They buy drugs and alcohol. So they get fucking drunk and wasted, and they get no mental health treatment whatsoever. She thinks that that's empathy. Holy fuck, these fucking stupid. Lady, you are fucking dumb. Not sure if you saw my first super. Can you react to the moment during your debate with Oliver 258-25? No, I'm busy right now, man. Maybe later in the stream. By the way, almost at 4K for this stream. I feel like we got $1,000 worth of grift left in us, boys.
Homeless people, the homeless, the mentally ill homeless who
yeah, literally mentally ill homeless, correct.
Choose to be there.
Yeah, often they choose to be there, correct.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Yeah, I'm also sure they do.
I'm sure it's a really great life.
These people were out of the mental institution.
We already had such policies, and Democrats destroyed it all.
They did destroy it all. Fucking pieces of shit.
Passive-aggressive Democrats, with their bleeding hearts, decided that they were going to tear down the public mental institutions. The reason that they did it is because they sent a reporter went into one and found signs of abuse in one institution.
That's
so
all
they
true.
Tore the entire thing down. That's why you have homeless people sitting on the sidewalks in San Francisco, and why you have them the sidewalks in Miami, why you have needles all over the place, because these are literally.
I would find it really interesting to see how this person would be acting if he was made homeless. Like all of these things he would be.
How would I be made homeless? You mean like through no fault of my own? Here's how I would be acting. I'll explain in great detail. If I was made homeless, meaning I didn't have enough financial whatever security to continue to pay my bills, the first thing I would do is downsize. If that didn't work and I lost everything that I had and had to start over from scratch, the first thing I would do is get a job. And while I was there, I would ask my boss for as much overtime as I could possibly get and explain to him what my personal situation was. I would say, look, every single extra hour that you can possibly give me would be great because I'm trying to get a place right now. I don't have one, right? I would check into whatever the local homeless shelter was or tent city while I went to work daily, and I would put money away, eating basically top ramen, until the point came that I could actually afford to move myself into an apartment. Then I would continue to work until I accrued assets, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, like many people have done in the past when they have found themselves rendered homeless. Wait, hold on. So she wants a mental hospital but doesn't want mental hospitals. Yeah, I know. It's fucking crazy. The best content, host, mod, and chat on the internet. Agreed. Thanks, Newsom. You actually do have to watch your step in San Francisco. You literally do. And these people will always point, they'll be like, well, it was under Reagan that this happened. No. Reagan might have started the steamroll here, but Democrats continued with these fucking bleeding heart policies and destroyed it. They fucking destroyed it at almost every local level. They destroyed it.
Saying would be completely revoked, because how are you going to sit there then if you were yourself made homeless and say, oh, I'm here by choice. I'm here by choice and because I'm mentally ill. Like you would.
I wouldn't, because I wouldn't be there by choice or mentally ill. Has nothing to do with the statement that most people who are homeless are fucking mentally ill or drug addicts. Why do they do that? Look, most women like dating men who are taller than them. I don't like dating men who are taller than me. It's like, I don't know why this is it's so difficult for these people. I have no idea.
Wouldn't be saying that. Be so effing for real. And furthermore, talking about homeless people is almost being a problem because they're on the sidewalks and there's needles everywhere. First of all, this whole like shame upon, homeless people for using drugs absolutely baffles me, because don't act like half of the people saying that aren't in their local pub on a Saturday night doing coke with their friends, right?
Well, let's just grant this for a second, that wherever she lives, her and her friends go to the local club on Saturdays and do lines of coke. That's a much different circumstance than being on the streets and spending what little money you do have on your addiction in order to escape. So the guy goes to the club or the girl goes to the club, does some cocaine on the weekend or whatever on a Saturday. They're not fucking doing blow the rest of the week or the rest of the month, right? Do it one time or whatever. A whole different scenario than people who are fucking addicts in the street. How dumb are these people? I was made homeless due to no fault of my own when I was 15, and what you just said, I did. And now, without a leg up, carved a way through to be successful in spite of the disadvantages. Yeah, you and thousands and, well, millions of other people. They're not mentally ill, Andrew. They are all eccentric artists, and they just need more money and needles. Yes, that's fair.
So let's not talk about drugs, because whatever homeless people got to do to get themselves through it is absolutely none of my business.
Got it. So if homeless people want to take drugs, she doesn't care because that's the empathetic thing. God, how can you be this dumb?
Second of all, them on the sidewalks, where you want them to go, mate. I feel like
to a bathroom. I want them to go into bathrooms. That's why they're, I don't know if maybe she's not aware of this, but inside of public parks and places like this are public bathrooms. Right? They're not shitting on the street because they don't have bathroom access. They're shitting on the street because they're junked the fuck up and don't give a shit.
Homeless people doing their business on the sidewalk is just a very, very, very telling symptom of the country that we have. And
It's almost like we got rid of something in the country that used to assist with this problem. What could that be? What the fuck is her stance even? I have no idea. She's just prattling on and on.
I'm not from America, but we have we have a homelessness problem here as well as in America. So I can imagine it's pretty much the same, if not worse, in America. I don't look at homeless people taking a shit on the sidewalk and think, dirty. I think, oh.
Well, I don't know. How many times have you seen a homeless person shitting on the sidewalk? I bet she'd lie and be like, I've seen it lots of times. And then I go and get them a little sandwich and we sit down and we have a little sandwich together. And then I wipe the little mouse I keep a little hanky in my purse and I wipe the little mouth with my hanky. And then I feed them. I nourish the homeless back to health. That's what I do. Like, one time, mate, I was going down the street and there was a homeless guy taking a shit right there. And I went over and I just wiped his little mouth off like this here. I was wiping his little mouth. And I spooned another thing right in that little mouth of his. It was fucking bullshit, lying sack of shit.
They have nowhere to have basic necessities. They don't.
Yeah, there's homeless shelters. There's governments have put in, especially localized governments, tent cities, oftentimes on the state's dime. They assist with all sorts of food. There's food drives everywhere. There's Christian organizations. There's so much in the way of fucking resources available to the underprivileged and the people who can't afford anything that it's unbelievable. It's actually unbelievable how much in the way of resources is actually available for people who are in that situation. Why do you think they maintain that situation? They have some shit for you. The grift, yeah.
Don't have anywhere to just go to the toilet. They don't have anywhere to just go and shower. This man is insufferable, and I said I wasn't going to take it very seriously, but that was a lie, clearly.
No, it was about...
He's being insufferable because I'm correct. It's just insufferable because I'm right. By the way, there's not even anything I was saying there that was even controversial. And so far, nothing I've even said has been controversial.
Andrew Wilson. He brings up tone policing sometimes when people say, well, I agree with you, but I don't like the way you said it. I think it's just because he doesn't meet people where they're at. And I don't think he's...
Oh, that's a bunch of woman garbage. We have to meet people where they're at.
Yeah. This is Andrew Wilson's wife, Rachel Wilson. Perhaps just as insufferable, because what I love about people like her is that people then comment going, yeah, well, she's a woman and she's speaking on behalf of women, so there you are, women bitches. Like, take that. A woman said this too. I'm like, it's Andrew Wilson's wife. You really think they're going to have differing opinions? You wouldn't marry someone like Andrew Wilson unless you agree. And honestly, I don't like usually saying pick me. And in this case, who the fuck is picking her except the likes of Andrew, which is essentially like, okay, you have been picked, but like, that's not a flex. She is so insufferable.
Well, I don't know. It's kind of a flex. I do okay for myself. You know, I do all right. I do okay for myself. Kind of a flex. I don't know.
And there is actually a clip somewhere of Andrew saying that, like, she isn't, like, the most attractive person in the world, which, I mean, objectively, yeah, he probably does think that, but you don't say that to the entire internet. Like, if my...
Why not? We have to lie to each other because it makes you feel better? You think that my wife doesn't know that there's other men out there who are more attractive than me, and I don't realize that there's other women out there who are more attractive than she is? How is it? I've never even understood how that's a dunk. It's just objective reality. It has nothing to do with how much I love or care about her or think that she's fucking great, or the fact that, it has nothing to do with any other contributing factor. Nothing. And it's just like, you just can't fucking tell anybody what's true, or they freak the fuck out. Let's not forget the $5 truck stop gas station showers that they are more likely right next to. They definitely made $5 panhandling on that corner. They can shower. Some of those places, if you're homeless, will actually let you shower for free.
My partner said that about me, I'd be like, okay, cool. See ya.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's probably why you're not married, because you've never been with a guy you could ever fucking tell the truth to. They literally cause third world diseases to come back when their population grows too big. Cholera, bubonic plague, polio, TB, typhoid fever. But it's okay because we have empathy. Exactly. Yeah, they're always offended on Rachel's behalf.
So annoying. What a load of woman garbage. Oh, you're so cool by adding woman in front of that. Like, you could have just said, what a load of garbage. But no, you have to be so different because you're not like other women.
the vision that you see for the world or
Yeah,
not?
and the vision I see for the world is not going to be met through convincing a bunch of emotional, irrational women that what is reality is non-negotiable.
Yawn. Guys, I hate how we're so emotional and irrational. All the comments, can we please hear more from this woman? Is it just me or is she a female Andrew Wilson? That's because they're together. Oh my God.
Yeah, not you. I mean, you're not proving her right now at all, lady, by being completely emotional, rational, making zero arguments, and just being offended. This whole diatribe, so far, she hasn't actually even tried to dispute anything that's been said. She's just said, "I don't like it. It makes me feel icky poo." Oh my God, it's so icky. Oh my God, it's so icky. I live in the California Bay Area and can assure you people are choosing it. Yeah, of course. Of course. Mr. Geoff Klein. She's insufferable, going on about how insufferable you two are. It's insufferable. It is pretty funny. Cheeky Broad needs a mean.
This is the thing with people like this. They like, men really use them as a scapegoat to then harass and attack all women's views because this one woman has views that are cursed. And how overdone is it to say that women are irrational and emotional? Okay, irrational, first of all, that's a matter of opinion. Emotional, what is wrong with being emotional? Maybe if
I want to hear it again.
the thing with people like this, they like,
yeah,
men
it's already made.
Really use them as a scapegoat to then harass and attack all women's views because this one woman has views that are cursed. And how overdone is it to say that women are irrational and emotional? Okay, irrational, first of all, that's a matter of opinion. Emotional,
That's a matter of opinion.
what is wrong with being emotional? Maybe if men
Here we go. Emotional, she says, yeah, I mean, that's true. But now she's about to say, but that's good. And men should be more emotional too.
had, in general, by the way, before I get the not all men comments, maybe if more men had more emotional intelligence, we would have a better state of the world and less.
Maybe if men would just be more emotional while they do the most dangerous fucking jobs on earth, which could kill them, the world would be a better place.
Less women would be and murdered. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've learned to not take being called emotional as an insult. Yes, I am an emotional being. I really don't mind that. I think it makes me a nicer, more sympathetic person.
Exactly. Nice and sympathy. The way that the world ought to be run.
Capable of growing and learning and considering other people's feelings. And also...
Really, you're capable of growing and learning and considering other people's feelings, except for mine, right? You're not capable of growing to learn any of my arguments or learning what I actually represent or even learning the context behind what I say. Nope. Not capable of learning any of that. But you are capable of emotionally responding to it. Wow, that's going to really get us somewhere. That's going to get us someplace.
So definitely not somebody who would come online and refer to something as woman garbage because I disagree with it. What an insufferable cow is all I'm going to say.
Negotiable.
Why do you
They're
have to
all
be
just gonna
hateful
come
in your speech?
It's
Like,
not
you never
hateful.
say, you
It's
never,
not
what
hate-
about
this
male
is-
passivity?
It's more woman garbage.
You don't have to say it like that, though. You can just say, this is...
That is tone policing. It's nonsense. This whole, I agree with what you said, but not how you said it. And this is the problem with giving women power, because now suddenly everyone's an HR.
You absolute twat. This is the problem with giving women power. What?
Rachel would absolutely eviscerate this chick in like 15 seconds. By the way, there's a comment. I'll show it to you real quick. Over on her YouTube, right? There's a comment over there on this chick's YouTube channel that I put requesting that she graciously, of course, allow me to come on to defend my views. The comment says, Andrew Wilson here, since you brazenly lie about me, how about a conversation where I'm allowed to actually defend myself? Go over to the comment section on the I Hate This Man video. Go down to that comment and comment underneath it. Also like the comment, but comment underneath it and just ask her, why won't you have a conversation with either him or his wife? Either one. They're going to make these fucking hit pieces, right? Without any context whatsoever. Don't even understand the fucking positions. Make sure you go over there.
What problem? You haven't actually said anything. You've disagreed with one statement, and therefore now what? That means women can't be in power. First of all, luckily for you, we're in a society where men are more likely to be in power. So you're off to a great start. You don't have to worry about that, young lady. But second of all, I don't even believe she believes what she's saying. It's like Pearl. You know when you look into Pearl's eyes, pick me Pearl, we all know who she is. You think, you don't even believe.
Pearl received her arguments from Rachel. Rachel was the source of the power. Davis, a mere mouthpiece. Rachel was the source of all of her strength, of all of her dark side abilities.
If that, do you, sunshine? Like,
The channel's called Kate. It's kaitclizm. katiclyzm, I guess, and it's just called I Hate This Man.
let's just stay true to ourselves for a fact. You know, you really don't believe what you're saying, right?
I guarantee you she believes what she's saying. So she can say that it's bad for Rachel to say woman garbage, but perfectly acceptable for her to call Rachel a cow. What the hell? Yeah, of course. Without double standards, they wouldn't have any standards. Can't wait to hear what the big announcement is. I love Not One Step Back. Also mysteries. No. You guys will never expect what the big announcement is. It's going to blow your fucking mind. Her main argument becomes that she wants all men gone so she can walk on the streets in her bikini. Her priorities are effed.
Wing grifting, it's like Ollie Dobson, that absolutely insufferable moron, idiotic twat, who these people claim to be trying to help men and don't believe in feminism because it's really holding people back. But anybody watching here that knows what feminism truly means, feminism in itself does benefit men in the larger sense of it. Now,
Can't find my comment? Then just make one. Just make a new fucking comment thread on there.
A lot of people will disagree with me because they say, well, feminism isn't meant to benefit men. I would actually disagree. Feminism is trying to abolish the patriarchy. The patriarchy does, in turn, it really does destroy men. It does.
Men being in charge of things destroys men. Ah. Got it. Brilliant. S-tier level argumentation from this idiot.
It's bad for men, and it's bad for
Oh, it's bad for men. How is it bad for men? Because you say it is?
women. Therefore,
And it's bad for women. How is it bad for women? Because you just say it is? I don't know why women, well, at least this woman, thinks that assertions are arguments. They're not
people
arguments.
like this, people like Ollie Dobson, these right-wing grifters, even female right-wing grifters, they are...
Grift. Wait, did somebody say grift? Yes. It is time for some grift. The grift must flow. Let the grift flow.